Dennis Abuya is a registered physical planner with the Physical Planners Registration Board in the Republic of Kenya. He holds a master's degree in urban management and a degree in urban and regional planning, both from the University of Nairobi. In episode 6 of the Future Cities Africa series, focusing on urban governance and how to get it right in managing urban growth in towns and cities in Kenya, this episode will explore managing urban growth in secondary cities and towns. Dennis, welcome. How is Kiambu County developing and changing in the spatial and socio-economic forms?
Kiambu County is developing and changing in terms of its spatial and socio-economic form organically. It does not have a defined way of developing or growth. It just grows in its natural form because most of the developments which are taking place, they are not planned for, because most of these areas in Kiambu, there are no plans which could define the growth of these areas. In terms of the social and economic, it follows the same trend that you only find most of these areas, they are more of residential areas and commercial in nature. So they are mostly more of residential and a bit of commercial elements. That is the kind of form that we have in Kiambu County.
How can you describe the development character and trends in rapidly urbanizing emerging towns, giving some examples? And how has the growth of these towns followed any management guidelines and regulations?
For the development character and trends in these rapidly urbanizing areas such as Limuru, Ruaka, and Kikuyu towns, which were recently conferred to municipal status from their natural town status, they are now at advanced stage in terms of the hierarchy of the towns. The only challenge you find, or the kind of development along these areas, that is Limuru, Ruaka, and Kikuyu towns, developments are more of linear along the major transport arteries. So, and mainly the main land use which is prominent in these areas, in these towns, is mainly residential, which normally target the people in the nearby city, Nairobi city, where people work and they commute to these neighboring areas, that is Limuru, Ruaka, and Kikuyu towns, where most of these people reside. So you find most of the developments in this area are more of linear development along the main corridor. And the growth of these areas, they are not informed by a well or some organized plans, but they are more natural. They just come through the centripetal and the centrifugal forces which attract these developments, and investors are mainly targeting these residents where they can reap highly and they can get high returns from the commercial and the residential developments.
Dennis, what are the current management challenges hindering sustainable growth of these towns?
One of them is a lack of a policy framework. Find most of the policies by the county government, they are more ad hoc policies. They are more reactive policies opposed to supposed to structured plans and policies to guide these areas for a long term or a long period. So that is the main hindrance which you find which is affecting these areas or these towns. So apart from lacking of the plans, you find there's lack of resources. Financial resources are very key in now implementation of the some of the basic plans, especially on the infrastructure, facilities, and other amenities, public purpose amenities, which serve the wider population, having in mind that these are some of the areas which are rapidly urbanizing in the country, not only in Kiambu County, but in the Republic of Kenya. So there are challenges to do with resource allocation, issues to do with the technical expertise in terms of the plans, in terms of the number of professionals who can guide these areas, which has a very high population, which requires the technical people to plan and manage these towns. We also find the recent conferment of these towns to municipal status. We've not had a well-structured management system of having the municipality chairs and support staff and other professionals to guide development for long term. In addition to these, you find that some of these areas lack the basic amenities, the recreationals, which are lungs of cities or urban or any urban areas. So we lack these basic amenities to support the urban population. In addition, we also lack transport. The mobility is a major problem in terms of what is available, which is termed as public transport, which is more of private, which is not efficient and sustainable in the long run. You find also in terms of the infrastructure facilities such as the liquid waste management plans, they're not in place. You find they are using some rudimentary waste management, liquid waste management systems, such as septic tanks, which are not sustainable, and they are not the best in management of these areas. So you find there's a lot of contamination in these towns because we do not have the conventional sewer system for management of this liquid waste as opposed to other best practices countries like Singapore, where we've seen better systems of management of the liquid and solid waste management. Those are some of the key challenges which are affecting these towns. Thank you.
So, in your view, what are the future of these towns and what role can urban authorities play in the sustainability of these areas? And what role can urban authorities play for sustainability and for tackling the challenges that you've just mentioned?
I can say these towns have a brighter future because at the moment there are some significant efforts by the county government to prepare some integrated strategic urban development plans to guide these areas for at least 10 to 20 years. At least those plans, once they are in place, and once we have resources, adequate resources, then we can be able to have these plans implemented and these areas guided accordingly. So this will now guide these areas to have at least some order, some more of order, some more of sustainability and a phase of a town where people can live and even animals can be able to live in such areas. Those are some of the strategies which the local authorities are trying to put in place. They're also trying to get more professionals in place to guide urban developments.
How has the county worked with Akirna to drive and to negotiate the region's current and future development?
The county has been working with Akirna. These are the residents associations bodies. They have been working well, and there is a county, Kiambu County Neighborhood and Community Participation Act, which allows some form of citizen participation because it is a constitutional right to every Kenyan or every member within the society to raise their concerns, especially in areas where they feel the county governments have let them down, especially in management of residential areas where they live, where they want to see more of a sustainable environment, some more of efficiency, some more of beauty in their neighborhoods. So they do. No one could want to have a mansionette or a townhouse, and adjacent to it, he has some 10 skyscrapers, 10 floors buildings, which are blocking even in terms of privacy, in terms of lighting, in terms of usage of the available infrastructure. So the county has been engaging and working closely, and in the process of preparing these integrated strategic urban development plans, which guide the county within several subzones, which are called the sub-counties. And overall, we also have the county spatial plan. So the county has had some kind of civic engagements to get the views of the members so that their views are integrated. Their areas are zoned as a medium density or a single dwelling areas so that we do not allow obnoxious land uses like the industrial, which are not compatible to these areas, or having some high density or any form of incompatibility. At the same time, they are trying to engage counties to facilitate some more of walkable neighborhoods where people can walk within instead of driving all the way, all the time. At the same time, having some centrally placed or organized and structured commercial areas as opposed to having some scattered commercial areas, which does not create any form of order in the neighborhood. So the county has been working with these neighborhood associations. At the same time, when developments are brought for approval, the approval process, the county has ensured that the development application submitted for approval by consultants, that is the architects and the structural engineers, as well as the physical planners, they ensure that the neighborhood association, through their leadership, they give their comments before such applications are approved. And in cases where maybe an approval was approved erroneously, they have been given a voice to raise their concerns, and such developments can be revoked as per the current Fiscal and Land Use Planning Act of 2019, which allows revocation of development applications which have been approved without following the due process. So those are some of the kind of engagements the county is having. The county is still engaging with the National Land Commission, which safeguards the public land or the common amenity areas. Some of these areas have been grabbed by some malicious people. So with the partnership with the neighborhood associations and the National Land Commission, the county is able to safeguard some of this public land, and as well as in the management and the coordination of other national government land uses and the long-term plans. The county governments have been working closely with the national government, with the Department of Fiscal Planning at the national government level to ensure that the plans which are undertaken at the county level, they're in line with the national spatial plan, which is the overall national strategies and policies which guide the county planning. So the same policies and the guidelines are cascaded down to the county level to ensure that there's harmony and coherence in terms of planning of these areas.
Dennis, what are the foreseeable opportunities for well-managed urban and peri-urban areas? And does Kiambu have a system in place to deliver better cities and towns?
In Kiambu, you find there's a lot of resources, a number and diverse resources within the county. At the same time, there are a number of, we have a very high population within the county, which is very active and which is able to assist in developing and taking the county to greater heights. So with the kind of resources which we have, some of them, especially on land, availability of land, the proximity to the Nairobi city, the availability of infrastructure. We have several bypasses. We have, most of the areas have been connected with infrastructure facilities, especially the sewer systems. Electricity have been connected to several areas. There are a number of public amenities which are within the county. These are some of the things which the county is trying to tap into, as well as a high number of professional planners who are registered working within Kiambu County, who can be able to make Kiambu a better place. So with at the same moment, we have some resources which are cascaded down from the national government to the county level, which will assist in ensuring some equalization and ensuring that even the marginalized areas, people without voices, like areas which do not have some organized communities like the neighborhood residents associations, they are well catered for. They do not need to have some voice to defend them, but to ensure that there is equity and delivery of services to all the areas. So you find these resources, these opportunities within the county. Kiambu County is trying to advance that and working with other agencies like the national government and other private investors and developers to make sure that Kiambu County becomes a place to live, work, and to socialize. So those are some of the things the county is trying to do to ensure that these opportunities in place are tapped and all the potentials are maximized to ensure that we have sustainable and livable cities.
How is the county steering the growth and development of the region? What are some of the key priorities for growth over the next decade, and how will we get there?
The county is steering the development and growth of the region through prioritization of its policies, especially policies on development control, about planning, and ensuring that there is some local economic development, that whatever goes within the county, it has a high impact to the neighboring, so that we do not have some more development which revolves around the urban areas and leading to negligence of some areas, like especially the local areas. The county is also trying to have a shift or integrate from focusing on capital investment projects and also integrating with the labor-intensive project, so that there's more of employment opportunities to a number of people, and especially to the rural areas and the peri-urban areas. These are areas which people used to call them as non-city in some days back, as non-city areas where people could run away from the city, where there are high land values which were not sustainable. So they moved to these areas in Kiambu. So the county is trying to have that integration approach to have all areas considered without leaving anyone behind. And that a key priority is what the county is trying to push to the next decade, of ensuring that there's development across the county, regardless whether it is urban, peri-urban, or whether, regardless of the status of the people who live around those areas. So that is what the Kiambu want to ensure, that there is fairness, there is equity, all that combined together, so that we look at the issues to do with in terms of the technical, the social, the environmental, and the jurisdictional dimensions. All those dimensions, once they are covered, for the county government, which is normally public good, which requires some sunken costs, which it's normally difficult to recuperate within a very short period. So the county want to invest in these long-term projects, so that they can get some incentives out of those projects after a long time, and they ensure that people benefit from the projects and development in these areas. In the long term, you find now we have sustainable development achieved for these areas.
Dana, so what have we learned so far, and how can we resolve current glitches for future resilience?
In my own, what we've learned so far from Kiambu, there's need to have both we have to look at the 5 dimensions. That is the technical dimension, we need the expertise. We need to look at the economic dimension, we need resources. We need to look at environmental dimension, how we protect the environment and ensure that we use a system which are least polluting in a way, in development and management of the county. Ensure that there's social dimension, ensuring that we have fairness along all the social classes in management of infrastructure and development within the county, as well as looking at the jurisdictional dimension in terms of the legal implications, partnerships, collaborations. So in the long run, once you have that, then you have people in place who are best, who are appointed based on meritocracy, people appointed who are suited to do the work, not based on who they know. Then we can have the county development plans and planning put in order, which can become real as opposed to ideal. which many people may think it will not be possible, but it's doable.
And finally, are you drawing any inspiration from other African cities, and what are the lessons learned?
I can say I've learned a lot from South Africa cities, which have embraced a lot of technology. They've also appreciated dealing with the professionals, having the right people in place to do the right job, allocation of resources. There's a way these resources are allocated without much lobbying and negotiations, as opposed to here in our country where you have to lobby a lot. So that has been inspiring to me. And I think once we are able to get meritocracy apply and a lot of resources and the value of planning appreciated, then I think we can go far in this country. That is a city which has been inspirational to me in Africa.